with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. You also find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners and their drive-through location in North Syracuse. So, with that being said, an awesome show set up for you here today. You know that Wednesdays are our days that we call Dolphin time to start out the broadcast, with every first and third Wednesday of each month dedicated to AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, every second and fourth Wednesday to the Dolphin Dive. We've dove into a bunch of stories this month with the Moyne College Dolphins with their student athletes, and today we have the opportunity and the blessing of having Robin Wheeless here with us, the men's and women's cross country and track and field head coach, joining us here in just a moment, live picture-in-picture on screen for this edition of Dolphin Dive inside of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Moyne College Dolphins. And in hour number two, Papa Joe is going to join us a day early this week to speak on the Jacksonville Jaguars season and the NFL playoffs in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. We'll give you some fantasy football thoughts going into the AFC and NFC championship games that will give us our two teams facing off for the rights to call themselves champions of the NFL. That coming up in hour two from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, all inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So with that being said, here on picture with us this morning, Coach Wheeless of the men's and women's cross country and track and field teams, their head coach. Coach, how are you today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Happy to have you here, Coach. And I know we've gotten to do some things for Giving Day and whatnot. This is the first time that we've gotten to really peel back your story. And I know that track and field and cross country has meant a lot to you, not just as a coach, but as someone who competed out there. And you've had an incredible run yourself. So I'd love to start with why cross country and track and field. What made you fall in love with this world when you were younger?
Actually, I was more into baseball, and then one of my best friends up the street said he was joining the track team, and I thought it sounded great if he was doing it. So he was a year older, and I thought a little wiser,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad I followed his lead.
So you said you were into baseball a little bit more, and your friend got involved. Once you thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try out what he's doing. When did you find your connection personally with the sport?
It was mainly when I started running with teammates.
Okay.
I had a great group of teammates in high school, and actually, that's sort of my entire life. I've had wonderful friends who it's a lifetime sport that I don't do it as well as I used to, but I still try to get out a little bit here and there. But I've got a lot of great friends who still run in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s.
And for you to continue to stay connected to it yourself and not just coach it, but to still have that love and that passion for it and get out there. What does it do for you? When you get out and you run and you have I mean, what does it bring to your life? Because I can speak from not being a part of the sport, but getting into cardio during COVID when people felt trapped in the house. I would go out and walk, go out and run, and I know what it did for me personally, just to kind of free my mind. What does it do for you?
I mean, I've always looked at going for a long run as sort of it's almost like doing meditation. You're focused on just putting one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
and it's you have a chance to clear your head of anything else going on and enjoy the scenery. And it it often would relieve a lot of stress. And I say that to the kids all the time, that even if you're not going to be competing, keep running, because it's good for your mental health.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like doing meditation, and I agree with that completely. For you, does it still work like it used to? Is it even better than when you were a kid running? Does it feel the same? I mean, as far as what you get out of it, is it better than it used to be? Is it kind of something that's been the same over the years? How would you describe the impact that it has on you when you get out there and take a run?
Well, I can't run like I used to. Before, I'd be out there for a couple hours at a time. I'm lucky if I get out there for more than half an hour. So it's it doesn't have what it used to for me now, but being around the kids and seeing them compete still and that sort of thing, I'm living vicariously through them.
And being there on the heights here with Robin Wheeless, the head coach of the men's and women's cross country and track and field teams in this edition of Dolphin Dive live on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Being around these student athletes, specifically at Moyne, how would you describe the heights to somebody who's never been up to Moyne?
It's I look at it as a very small, tight-knit community. Um, our team, especially, I feel is very close. Um, Other schools that are bigger, you have there's more people. The professors are often not the people teaching the class,
Yeah.
where you're working with teaching assistants instead of the actual professor. The professors know your name there. The once you're there for a year or so, you pretty much can recognize most of the people you pass. It's a much friendlier, more open community than a lot of schools I've been around.
And when you have that connection, that personal connection, that personal touch at Moyne, how do you make sure to display that when you have recruiting visits or when you go on the road yourself?
For me, the best thing is for prospective students to meet people on my team, and especially if I get a chance for them to see them interacting. It's I really feel they're more than just teammates as far as worrying about, running down the track or throwing the shot or something like that. It's more they care about each other, they look after each other. Many of our upperclassmen tutor the underclassmen.
Yeah.
It's they're there when people, you know, have disappointments in their lives. They're there for them, and to me, that's important. And when people come and they can see that connection, that's where it's that's my sales pitch. When they can see what the team is like and how much they love being around each other.
And having that, obviously when you go out and recruit, you're looking for talented student athletes, people that are good in the classroom at the same time, good in their respective pieces of the sport with cross country and track and field, but you're also looking for good people. How do you kind of sift through the really talented versus the really talented that you believe are going to be a positive piece of your culture? Because I've been around teams, really, you look collegiately, high school, professionally, where they've had talented players that were kind of viruses to the locker room, so to speak. And then there's teams that have really talented players that are very family oriented.
Yeah, I mean, it comes across fairly quickly. People, people tend to be very open about how they feel about their training and about their teammates. And some people will just, you can tell that it's just lip service to say,
Yeah.
I'm a good teammate. I make my teammates better. But you can hear it come through when it's important to them that the slowest guy on the team was inspired to get better, and they helped them with this field event, or with something in their running, they help them in school. That stuff comes across. There's too much of the self-centered attitude with the star athlete. And I try to avoid that.
That coming here from Robin Wheeless here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Robin, to go back to cross country this past season, what were some positive takeaways on the men's and women's side for you that you'd like to share with the community, on the heights and beyond, that you really feel like can help propel the teams forward as they move into their upcoming season?
Oh, it was great to see. We had a real good group of freshmen came in. The women's team, we have a nice pack, solid pack together, and seeing them gel in the meets was outstanding. We've got some young guys on the cross country team as well, and it's always nice to have a runner like Matt Carlotta, where he's gone out and he won one of the Hamilton Invitationals against some very stiff competition, and having somebody up front like that is an example of what you can aspire to be. We've tried to stretch our meet schedule a bit this year, where we're seeing a lot more competition, some tougher competition, and we're hoping to see what we can do at that next level. If we can, part of the way our meet schedule works is we don't do the dual meets and that sort of thing like basketball or soccer. All of our meets are invitationals.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we try to stay within a few hours of Syracuse. It helps cut down on travel time, helps make the academic situation a lot better. But even with that, we can see Division II schools. We often compete against Division III schools, but we'll also go up against, we've been at meets with, and we've been to Cornell, we've been to Colgate, we're going up against Albany this week. We'll often see the Division I talent as well. And it's a good mix of competition. And we're always looking to say, we don't want to be the top team there. We want to be the team that's pressing to get better.
And like you said, I mean, in putting yourself in situations, like you said, we don't want to be the top team there. We want to be the team that's pressing to get better. Putting yourself in those situations where you want to have that top quality opposition, just what you think that does consistently for your cross country as well as your track and field teams, to not just, pad your schedule with schools that, you feel like you're better than, that you can beat, but to go up against those schools that are going to challenge you and bring out the best in your student athletes. And you might have to, come back saying, okay, we were defeated in these areas, but this is where we're going to work on it. Some coaches like to load it up, make you feel really good before they play the meat of something. For you to want that consistent competition, just why you chose that avenue and what you think it does for the student athletes.
Well, I mean, at first, especially with the freshmen, it'll be, oh my God, I don't think we can do this. They're going to be so good. But then it lets them see that, they're nothing special. We're the same people they are. They still have to, basically go right, left until they're done.
Yeah.
It lets them know they can go there and compete against anyone. And then it's a matter of, how do I get to that next level? How do I raise my bar and get faster, get stronger? So I think it's a motivational tool to say, I want to improve every week. And especially when we'll see people, a couple times in a season, and am I catching up to this guy? I beat that one guy last time. He was coming after me this time. It really helps keep them motivated and striving to get better than their opponents, no matter what class they're in.
That coming here from Robin Wheeless in this edition of Dolphin Dive, peeling back his story as well as speaking on the current teams for men's and women's cross country and track and field. Coming up here that you have very soon, you have for men's and women's track and field the Blue and Orange Invitational. And so we're going to see that happen here. What can you tell us about what's upcoming and how your team has been preparing, kind of what you've seen out of your student athletes up to this point in the season, where they were in the beginning and where they are now heading into the Blue and Orange Invitational?
It's a little rough at the beginning because we come right off of the break from over the Christmas week and stuff. We come in and we immediately go into meets, and people are working their way into race shape. So it's a little intimidating at first. We've had quite a few personal records on the team, several school records. That it gets exciting when with running and track and field, it isn't always about where you place. It's about, am I improving? Am I getting better at something like that? We, especially with the distance races, we'll often bounce from one distance to another, where our goal is to compete well in the distance medley relay at the conference championship. So we have guys who are running the 3,000 who might be racing in the mile, and they'll race in the 800 just to get a little faster. We come to a meet like this one this week. We've got a very good 800-meter runner, Christian Carlin Saraceni, he holds our school record for indoor track right now. It's a 156, which is faster than I ever ran, I'll say that. And he's looking for some good competition this week. Last week, we moved him down to the 400 to get a little more speed, and it's a little more intensity when you get to the 400. So we're looking to see him have a good race this week, setting himself up for our conference championship out in Boston in February 16th and 17th.
And when you look at that, when you look at the NE10 for the conference here in Division II, what do you think it does to push your student athletes as you look to do that throughout the season, as we've spoken about here in this edition of Dolphin Dive with Robin Wheeless, men's and women's cross country and track and field head coach at Moyne College? What does this conference specifically of the NE10 do positively for your student athletes?
Well, I think the level of competition is very high in our conference. It's we have runners from all over the world competing on teams there, and it's going there and seeing competing against people who have gone and won national championships individually.
Yeah,
it's it really does show you that they're human and they're out there. We can be right there with them. I like that with the competition, we have there's a website, tfers.com or .org, and that tracks all of the results for our conference. You can see other conferences as well, but we can see where we stand against them week to week. And I like in track and field that it all comes down to a number. There's no style points. There's nothing like that. You can see if you were faster, if you threw farther, and that sort of thing. So people have a goal to shoot for. You need to be in the top 24 of the individuals in order to be allowed to compete at the championship. And every week you see yourself you know, battling against people. If you didn't run in an event this week, you might drop a place or two.
Yeah.
And that matters what we're going to do at the conference championship. So the conference itself brings out some very good competition, and they really press us to get better.
And you look at, speaking on the credit to this conference of the NE10 and NCAA Division II, there's been the thought in over half a year now, in a lot of conversations and an ad hoc committee that's been created to tackle this, of looking at either going Division I for Moyne or staying Division II. As the head coach of these multiple programs, cross country and track and field for men's and women's on the Heights, how have you kind of looked at a jump to Division I, and how do you prepare yourself for something like that if it did happen?
Um, I really think it's a matter of improving our competition, the level of who we're going to see. And if we went Division I, it certainly would attract athletes who want to go to Division I. Our competition, most of the teams, as far as during the regular season, we don't necessarily worry about what division they're in. And so the meets, for the most part, wouldn't change during the season, but the conference championship and the NCAA level would change. That being said, when I set up our meet schedule, I'm looking for what's the right level of competition for our team right now to compete against. So in the regular season, my hope is gradually every year we start adding some harder meets and trying to raise the level of competition that we find competitive. And it also, I look to make sure that we're prepared for the conference championship. That's always our goal, is to improve there, especially in cross country. But it's track and field is also an area we work pretty hard in. We've added quite a few events in the recent years, and the improvement there has been pretty dramatic.
And you talk about adding different events to track and field. What have you added, and why did you choose to do that?
Well, we've before we only just recently added the track program itself.
Yeah.
We had a great history back in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s, but then we only had cross country for quite a while. We've never had a women's track program before we added it 8 years ago. And bringing people in, throwing the javelin, the hammer, the weight throw. Those events are very challenging. We had a senior who graduated this year, who Juliana was our first pole vaulter for women. And it was nice to see her come in and be able to score at our conference championship. It's sometimes a little difficult for us to make time for all of the events and fit them in with the facilities. We travel a bit to make everything work, but the kids are great about it, and we've had a lot of success. I think now we've added a new assistant track coach with Marie Grasso, who she brings a ton of experience. She was the head coach at Colgate for several years, and her experience is really doing a lot for our program, especially our throwers.
That coming here from Robin Wheeless. Robin, before we saddle up for today in this edition of Dolphin Dive, we're going to do rapid fire, where you and I get to ask each other questions, have nothing to do with sports, and have some fun with that to get to know you a little bit better. But before we get into that, I'm going to give you a shameless plug here. Being a distance runner most of your life, a track, cross country, trail, road races, Robin, nationally ranked Masters runner in several distance events, and you also finished in the top 100 in the Boston Marathon. Bring me into your history because you've been very humble about it, but top 100 in the Boston Marathon, nationally ranked runner here. I think we need to give you a little credit where credit's due.
Well, I did okay. I wasn't I wasn't a star runner. I am, I think it was great for me having again, it comes down to teammates, but I used to work at Lockheed Martin, and then I worked at Saab Census, and at both places I had a great group of friends that we would run together every day. And especially when I first started at Lockheed Martin, the the level of competition there was pretty extreme. We had one runner in particular there, Jeff Morganti, was an Olympic trials qualifier for the marathon. So having guys like that to train with on a daily basis, it made me want to do a little bit more. And a lot of the guys on the team like to go to track races. Some of them still do. And, the marathon was always sort of an ultimate goal to get there.
Yeah.
And Boston is, to me, that's the greatest marathon of all. I know some people might like, say that you need to go to Greece, but Boston's where it is in this country. No, I always thought it was a great way to I connected with my children through it. I connected through athletes I coached, and it really has been a blessing for me.
And you said Boston to you is the best. Why?
Well, just the crowd is incredibly supportive. I love the Boilermaker, and a lot of local people have been to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the crowd is terrific there, but it's probably 4 or 5 people deep, and I'm saying for 26 miles, it's 4 or 5 deep, the whole course,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody there is excited about the marathon. The Until you've run by the what is it, the Wellesley Girls College there, you feel like you're a member of the Beatles the way they're all screaming for you. It's just an exciting event with the top runners in the world coming out to see what they can do. A very challenging course with with Heartbreak Hill, and the weather is often doesn't cooperate, so you have to deal with that as well. And I've had friends out there, and trying to run a marathon in 85-degree weather, and that's brutal.
Coming here from Robin Wheeless, a Dolphin dive spotlight today on the men's and women's cross country and track and field teams at Moyne College and our multimedia marketing partnership, as well as on the story of Robin Wheeless. It is that time for rapid fire. Robin, you and I are going to have a few questions apiece. We can ask each other literally anything. No preparation is how we do it, because I want the first question that comes to mind and the first answer that comes to mind. So you get to start it off, because you've been great answering all my questions, to throw a question at me whenever you're ready.
What sports do you do right now with friends?
Right now, I would say when it comes to like walking or jogging, that's something I do myself for my own mental and physical health. So I would say that. Not that I wouldn't do those with friends. And then I was playing flag football for a while. I'd probably say I'd like to start playing basketball with friends. That was something I played my whole life. I never. Here's the thing that maybe you can appreciate. When we had to run the track in high school, for those that didn't run and on a normal basis, I hated running. I loved playing basketball, hated running because I just didn't. I to me it was like if I'm not the fat, you be self conscious, and so if you put a basketball in my hand, I would run 12 miles. But if you left me without the basketball, just staring at the track and everybody looking at you in high school, then it was a little bit different. Now, I think if I was running on that track by myself, it's a different story. But when you have people in high school, kind of like everybody's looking at everybody who's going to be last. So I definitely, in the basketball world, would run a lot more, and I don't know. I love the feeling of the basketball in my hands and just being on the court. So I've tried to do a little bit more of that recently, and I feel like that would probably be something I would do with friends again. So my question for you, Robin, you talked about the Beatles. So if you could tour with any three singers and or bands, and they could be living or deceased, if you could go on tour with anybody, you got to pick three of them. Who would you go with?
Um, well, I definitely go with Rush.
Okay.
They're phenomenal, and unfortunately, Neil Peart is no longer with us. Um, let's see. I would probably love to go with Peter Gabriel.
Okay.
He's been a huge fan of his for quite a few years, probably back into my late teens, early 20s. And they would he would be phenomenal to be with. He's pretty imaginative.
Okay.
And probably I think it would be fun to go with Chris Bodie. He's
Okay.
a jazz trumpet who I've seen him a few times, and it just seems like a different world. I'd be interested to see what that would be like.
Okay. I can appreciate those. An eclectic group. I like it. What's your next question for me?
Um, what are your three favorite restaurants in the Syracuse area?
Well, I work with a lot of partnerships, so you can get me in trouble now, Robin. So, I would say, you know what? I'll pick it this way. Since I'm a hopeful, and there's a very, and there's a reason why I say that instead of hopeless romantic, very hopeful romantic. So I'm a single man. If I was going on a date, this is how we'll pick them. So I would go to 317 at Montgomery. We do partner together, but their food is. I mean, I just told the owner last night because they just upgraded their menu and made some changes. I don't even think it needed an upgrade, but they did some more stuff to it. And I worked at Disney for 6 years down at Walt Disney World. I told Joel Carpenter, the owner over there at 317 at Montgomery in downtown Syracuse, just a couple minutes from Lemoyne, I let him know when I tried his short rib that to me it was the closest I've ever had to Disney. And I could not believe that it was here in central New York. And the menu that they have now, it looks like something you'd see in LA, Miami, New York City, like a giant, city. And we're seeing it here in Syracuse, New York. And I feel like we have a diamond in the rough. So I know I would definitely take a date to 317 at Montgomery. So I'm going to say them. I'm going to say Lasca's out in the Auburn area because they have this like I'm Hispanic and Italian, and so they have this red like marinara sauce that also has like a salsa kick to it. So I definitely go out to Lasca's, and they give you a ton of food. Veal Parmesan out there is fantastic. So I would say Lasca's, 317 at Montgomery, and I would say out in Skinny Atlas because I like being on the water. I'd say Blue Water Grill. because their food is really good out there. I like sushi. I never thought I would, and they have some pretty darn good sushi out there. So I'd pick those three places if I was going out on a date. That'd probably be now. Watch, Robin. When I go out on my next date, if I don't go to any one of those three places, the girl's gonna pick up this show and ask me why I didn't take her there. So my my next question for you is okay. How about this? Let's stay with the dating world, Robin. I'm gonna put you on the spot for this one. I am a single man. I would love for you to give me the best piece of dating advice that you have.
The best piece of dating advice. I haven't dated in a long time, so
Yeah.
I would say always try to make your date feel special, and make sure that you're doing something that you enjoy and they enjoy, so that it doesn't feel like a job to be with them,
Yeah.
but you're having a good time together, enjoying it.
I love that. Make them feel special and do something that's mutually paying attention to what you both like. I like that. It shows that you listen and it shows that you pay attention. So for somebody who, like you said, has been out of the game for a while, that's some pretty good advice, Robin. Thank you for that. What's your last one for me?
Um, what are your three favorite movies of all time?
Oh, I'm a movie guy. I'm a movie guy, and I've been involved in screenwriting and acting. So this is a very, very tough question because I have a bunch of movies that I love. I would say top three of all time. In no specific order, I have to put this one in it because I can recite the entire movie from opening to close. I've like downloaded it in my brain as Liar Liar with Jim Carrey. So Liar Liar would be up there. I think it's Jim Carrey's best movie. So I would say that. I would say, this is very tough for me. I'd probably say the first ever Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire because they brought my favorite character to life from being a kid. So I would say in 2002, my world changed when they brought Spider-Man to life. So I'd have to say the first, and Willem Dafoe is by far the Green Goblin, and he has the scariest voice. Like, whoever he's married to, if he ever decided in the morning to just kind of mess with her while she's brushing her teeth, his voice is terrifying. So I would say Spider-Man, the first one. I would say Liar Liar, and I'd probably say I love comedy. I love making people laugh. So I'd probably say Wedding Crashers because it is on my bucket list to crash a wedding. So I'd have to say
Excellent.
that. All right, my last question for you, Robin. If you were president of the United States, who would be your vice president, and what would be the first thing you said at the podium?
Oh, what would be the first thing I'd say from the podium?
First thing you'd say, and who your vice president would be.
I I really don't know. Um, I'm not. This is way outside of my area.
Okay.
Um, well, you're going to have a lot of dead air here.
Okay.
Um,
Who would you trust to run with you?
well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of politicians.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where um, I just think politics is too much power,
Okay.
and so I don't think I could choose one.
So let
And
me.
my
Go
first thing to say would be, you need to find a smarter person than me to be up here.
ahead. So in reworking that, because I do agree with you that politics has become everything it shouldn't have been. So let me put it from this place then. If you were speaking to the central and upstate New York community and you were asked to bestow some knowledge and wisdom, what would be something that you would want to leave with the community? You've been in this community your whole life. You've raised a family in this community. You've married someone from this community. If you were speaking this morning and were asked to impart some wisdom that you've gained over the years, what would you say?
Well, I think I'd like to see us find a way to work together more. I'd like to see us find, I mean, there's a lot of jobs out there. I'd like to find a way to put the people to work who are homeless right now. We do a lot of work, not a lot of work, but we go down to the Samaritan Center several times a year and feed meals with our team. And it just seems like, well, some people are working and can't make ends meet that go. A lot of people need to get to work and find a place to do that. I'd like to see us able to do that. And I like the idea of promoting Central New York with what we already have. We don't need to bring more things to the area. I think we have a fantastic city. We have, a great area with the Adirondacks and the Finger Lakes and everything they have to offer. I think people should be less eager to bash Syracuse and be more of a fan of where we live, because honestly, I think we have everything that you could ask for here.
Well, I love that response because the hashtag that I started right at the beginning of the pandemic is support CNY. And that's always been something I've taken to heart. It's why I work with Moyne College as the exclusive multimedia marketing partner. My vision and my mission for our community, Robin, and to everybody that's watching and listening, is exactly that. To show what we have, to show the people we have, the programs we have, the schools we have, the opportunities we have, and to build those up. Instead of saying, oh, we got to bring all this stuff in, I don't expect Syracuse to be Walt Disney World. I expect Syracuse to be what I've always known it to be, which in my life is the happy balance between having a city and all of these beautiful things to go out and do, and then having trees and hills and trails and all of this. I mean, people that have never been to New York think everything is New York City. And they come to Central and Upstate New York and they're like, oh my God, the trees are beautiful. The changing of the season is immaculate. I love going up here. I love seeing this. I love doing that. I love nature. And so to your point, so much of nature has been left untouched in Central and Upstate New York, and I'd like it to stay that way. So
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, Robin. We need to promote the community. That's why, like I said, I proudly work with Moyne. That's why we do these things, because I believe that the best kept secrets need to be told. So thank you for taking some time today.
Thank you.
That coming from Robin Wheeless here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of our Dolphin Dive edition. Robin and his teams will be in effect in just a few days here in their blue and orange invitational, as we spoke about before, on January 28th. Make sure you follow the track teams as well as cross country all throughout the year and their seasons, and support the student athletes every single day. Robin, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
That coming here once again from Robin Wheeless here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We can't thank Robin enough for being a part of the show as we bid community of Central and Upstate New York, which I greatly appreciate so very much that we've had the opportunity to talk about that. Hey, let's not look to change what we have. Let's look to promote and build what we have. Is that not a perfect connection into what we do here at Dan Tortora Broadcast Media? To not say we got to bring all this stuff in, but to promote Cafe Kubal for being your local coffee maker and chai maker, an amazing place. All of their locations look different, feel different. Like I said, Cafe Kubal is like a family. Cafe Kubal is the parent. All of their locations are the kids. They're in the same family, but they look a little bit different. Carvel DeWitt has made itself, with that international name of Carvel, has put itself in our community for over 6 decades. It's the longest standing Carvel franchise in America, and they look and feel whatever they're supposed to do for Carvel, they go above and beyond that. And they get local in so many ways, and they do so many events, which I love. Which brings me to Chick-fil-A Cicero, Chick-fil-A Clay, and Chick-fil-A Watertown. Yes, Chick-fil-A is an international name, but if you've met Merritt Brady or Jim Sikowski, they're so involved in the community, so involved in helping people, helping the military, helping the homeless, helping people during COVID. So many different things that they do to make themselves a central and upstate New York brand. Witty Wicks voted 3 years in a row to be your favorite gift shop in the community. Why? Because they have stuff that nobody else has. And when you walk in there, any of the gear that you see me wear that says Upstate, and a ton of my Syracuse and my 315, that's all from Witty Wicks. I love my community. Thanks to Witty Wicks, I get to wear it on my chest, I get to wear it on my head. I never thought that I would find a place that cared about the community as much as I do to make the apparel and have all these things that I can send out to people and say, hey, support where you come from. I do. I love it. I wear my Upstate pretty much every single trip that I go on. I would say if you see me in the airport, I'm wearing an Upstate hoodie or my Upstate hat or both, because I love supporting my community and I love that Witty Wicks helps me to do that. The Wildcat Sports Pub. We've had fantasy football there for many, many years. They built, on top of what they already had, bar restaurant, they built an entire separate, giant, awesome, enormous, incredible, stupendous private party room. They've become so many things to the community, and they're family friendly. They're a place that can have people drinking a beer while kids are having a birthday party, while someone's on a date and someone's hanging out with their family. And there's a team having a banquet all at the same time, and it works seamlessly. It's because their staff is incredible. Great Lakes Honda City is the only place that I buy my Honda. The former Honda City of Liverpool, it's the only place where I buy vehicles. Because I trust the people, I enjoy them, and they treat me like I matter, which is really hard to find in the car business. PB&J's Lunchbox. If you've ever met Pat and Sue, they are there every single day, cooking, cleaning, getting things ready. They are hands on deck all the time. Pat's driving the truck all the time. Sue's out there in the back making sure everything's right. If you've had great food in this community, it's come from PB&J's Lunchbox in its own unique and incredible way. If you haven't been there, you're missing something. They believed in themselves, banked on themselves, and that food truck that people chase all around central and upstate New York, now they have a cafe, 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And I implore you to go there because I love their food. I could literally eat there every day, feel like I'm in a different restaurant because their food is all different types of things. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding. Growing up as a kid, we didn't know what to do. When we had to go out of town, it was who's going to watch the dog, right? And can we trust them? And I never felt 100% confident in trusting anybody to watch my dog. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, with Lorraine and her team, is the only place besides my blood family that I trust to take care of my animal, your animal. The way that they've treated Lily, the way that they take care of Lily, the way that they're there for her, I don't even think about it. I don't worry about it. It's the only place besides my parents where I feel safe having that. Avicoli's. Doing the Liverpool show there. Being there with the kids. Seeing John, who's worked there for decades. And everything that they do to make that a special and unique and wonderful place. They care so deeply and so much. If you go in there and you ask for John. Go in there and ask for John. John knows every bit of trivia about Liverpool. He knows our community. They don't just work here. They don't just ask for your money here. They know your kids. They know your coaches. They know the neighborhood. They know the guy that's been living in that house for 37 years. They're so ingrained in our community. And I love that. I love their history and their connection. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. It's like going to an amusement park every day. Jim and Angela are big kids, making popcorn and kettle corn, doing events and fundraisers for you. You go in there, you see JoJo, you see the whole team, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool. They're big kids having fun, smiling all the time, always festive. You go in there right now, it's probably Valentine's Day all over the place. They are so positive that if you're having a bad day, I would suggest you just walk in there, buy yourself a bag of kettle corn, and spend 5 minutes with their crew. 317 at Montgomery. I mentioned it with Robin Wheeless. We have a 5-star restaurant, in my opinion, sitting here. We have a beautiful restaurant that I could see being in a skyscraper in New York City. I could see it being on the top deck. You know, I could see it being a restaurant out there on the patio or on the rooftop in Los Angeles. The food that they make, the things that they bring to our community are amazing. And they're only getting better. Honestly, folks, I've been there for my dad's retirement party. I had my Christmas party there this year. I don't just suggest it. I put my money where my mouth is. 317 at Montgomery Street. I could see people getting engaged there. And I know some people have. So, it's just a different place. It's a beautiful place. And I love it so much. It's so awesome. Pizza Man. I'm rolling out there all the time. I love going to Pizza Man. Being with the community. Sitting with the community. Learning from... I can't walk in there without seeing regulars stop me and talk. I just did it a few days ago. Sitting there talking with everybody. Talking football, talking community. Talking about all different things. Seeing how close-knit and how caring that community is. And how that community is coming together for Ava right now. I love that and I appreciate that. But they come together all the time. There's a family out there, and I respect it. Moyne College, you just heard my Dolphin Dive with Robin Wheeless. Moyne College is a fantastic institution, led by an incredible president and an athletic director that to me is like, you got to be at that level to work with me. Like, I want that level of athletic director. Bob Beretta set the bar so high in my world that I expect that now. Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, being their exclusive multimedia marketing partner. Their coaches, their up-and-comers, the youth, the fact that people get opportunities at a young age there. The fact that they provide avenues that you wouldn't see in other places, to be coaches, to come back to school, to still have eligibility and be a student athlete. They have a unique, being outside of the NCAA, they have a unique way of providing dreams to come true for people who thought their dreams were done. Bryan and Stratton is giving good news to people who thought their story was over in this chapter. That chapter is reopened at Bryan and Stratton. That's my team. These are my people. So, I just named all of that off. Speaking on strictly the people I work with, going off the point of Robin Wheeless, let's not bring more in. Let's promote what we have. And that's what I do every day. Because they're worth it. Greg said, good morning, DT. Thoughts on Splash Mountain closing? Would you rank it in your top 20 Disney rides? Well, it was supposed to be closing for like the last couple of years because they want to make it a Tiana ride for the Princess and the Frog and all that. We'll talk about that after the break. I have some thoughts. So we'll discuss it with Papa Joe, who's coming to us from Florida. So perfect segue right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York, open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. Always happy to be here. You also find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their North Syracuse drive-through location. And, of course, for those of you that know that this studio is decked out in Witty Wicks awesomeness, we have the 315 sign that's right here, the 315 Home Suite Home. You can get this for your house, for your studio, for your apartment, whatever you got going on. And of course, these Cuse pillows, the 315 with the new dome in it, Cuse Home Sweet Home pillow. And we also have what you can use as ornaments, but you can also hang them in your house and put them up on the wall all throughout the year. The Upstate. We also have the upside down light that you'll find right out by Coleman's, the upside-down light that has the green on the top that confuses everybody that comes into the community and says, why is that light that way? So we have that here in our community as well. And, of course, all the upstate and central New York gear and so many different things. And you've been seeing it lit up here in the corner of the screen this morning, and that's because I always have a Witty Wicks candle lit here in studio. This one being my Namaste at Home. I think this is the one I just got from them, and it's almost totally gone. So, because I can't help myself but to light it, it helps my allergies, it helps me to relax and unwind. Beautiful smells, something for everybody out at Witty Wicks, so make sure you get out there today. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', Papa Joe with us a day early here, where sports meets that thing called life, to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars season, as well as to give his thoughts on the NFL playoffs as a whole. PJ is here with us this morning in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. We're doing double duty, Papa Joe, Fantasy Football Power Hour, brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, a place that PJ would frequent if he was up here, I know that. So let's bring him in. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Everything's fine. A lot of fun.
And, you know,
Fun.
What'd you say?
The Jaguars are just, the last 3 weeks we've been having a lot of fun with the Jaguars, so
Oh, yeah.
all you player haters out there are just going to have to eat some words.
Yeah, you know, and PJ, you know, talking about this Jacksonville Jaguars team, we've gotten to see everything that they've been able to do here and how successful they've been. What's been your overall take on the Jacksonville Jaguars this season, and why do you think they've been so successful?
Well, it's Doug Patterson. He is the key to everything, and he's a slam dunk for Coach of the Year. There's no doubt about it. No one else is anywhere close to Doug Patterson right now. And, of course, we're seeing the maturation of Trevor Lawrence.
Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the...
The kid hanging in there, and this year, he's really turned the corners. However, when he played the Chargers and he had 4 interceptions in the first half, I wasn't looking too good. But it's his maturation process and his ability to scan the field and get the ball to his playmakers. And Doug Patterson, when he came to this franchise, I knew from what the reports that I had heard that he wanted this job because of this kid. And he said, I'm going to mold this kid into a Super Bowl quarterback, and that's what he's doing. And look what happened. He beat Tennessee for the outright title. Cliffhanger against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And just played Kansas City balls up for 3 quarters. I can't. I'm ecstatic. I mean, to go into the off season to see what kind of moves they're going to make now. It just stirs my energy a little bit. I'm very happy. I'm happy for the city, Jacksonville. Happy for Con. I'm happy for all the Jaguar fans out there, and even the ones that you're not a fan. You have to realize that these kids really made a difference this year.
Yeah, they did. And I was saying to you off the air, the people that have called me out, said stuff to me in passing. Why are you a Jaguars fan? And they suck and this and that. And why would you be? I said everybody that's been giving me crap all year, all of a sudden everyone shut their mouth. It's totally silent now. I'm not hearing any type of verbal abuse about my Jaguars love. So, it's kind of funny to me now, PJ, that all the Jaguars haters have gone back into their holes, so to speak.
Well, this is football is a very emotional sport, not only for the players, but for the fans and the pundits as well. I mean, you're always throwing virus back and forth. And subsequently, the Jaguars almost made it. They had a couple of crucial turnovers there. Agnew's fumble there, which was, I needed to shoot him for that. And then Trevor throwing a pick there at the end. But, for 3 quarters, they were right there. And I told Mary, I said, listen, Mary, if they're in the ballgame in 3 quarters, they got a chance to win. And they did have a chance to win. Maybe not 100%, but they had a chance to be there. And they just come up a little bit short. So, we just take our hats off to the kids. All the coaches have done a great job. All the recruiters, everyone from Shad Khan all the way down deserves a great big kudos on the back.
Yeah, it's been a phenomenal year, and we've gotten to see a lot of great things come from this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Here with Papa Joe this morning in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. We'll be talking about the NFL playoffs overall as a whole, but starting things off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. What was your biggest surprise in Jacksonville this year, PJ?
Well, not to belabor the point, but it was Lawrence showing what he could do. I mean, the kid's got a great arm. He's got a lot of poise. He's big. He's tall. He's strong. He moves really good. And I think that the more he got used to Doug Peterson, and you could tell just by the way that they were conversing on the sideline. Peterson, I don't think, never raised his voice to this kid. He always reasoned with him and says, listen, Trev, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, but you did this right, you did this right, you did this right. So I like to see that, and I'm glad that the TV cameras show that every once in a while, because even if he made a goof or something, if he threw a bad take or something, especially in San Diego, I mean, you're not gonna see Peterson just scream at him. I mean, that's not Peterson. So I'm very happy with everything. I think no one is surprised by the play of Travis at the end, and there was a reason. You and I talked about it last year, where Robinson was going to have to go because this kid was way too fat and way too quick to be a second back, and he can do anything with the ball, and he's a little bit quicker than McCaffrey, a little bit faster than McCaffrey, maybe not as strong as McCaffrey, but both of these guys are just fun to watch, and he can bust one anytime on the field, and whether it's a screen pass, a draw play, or a swing pass, anything, he can take it the route. He's made a big difference. The tight end, of course, with Evan Engram, what a big guy he's been. The Jaguars are now set for the future. They are, and I think with the return of Jason Waddle from Alabama, of course he blew his knee out before he even played, and put this kid on the field with the rest of the guys, and Trevor's going to have them all.
That coming from PJ, and here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning, Kelvin Ridley was a player picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars during this season. Yeah. Oh, no, you're okay. But I did want to get to that. Your thoughts on the receiving core. Now, granted, they're going to have to make some decisions with some guys, but with Christian Kirk signed on for next season, Zay Jones signed on for next season, Marvin Jones Jr., a free agent, Evan Engram, that they would need to re-sign as well, and Calvin Ridley coming in. What are your thoughts on the future of the receiving corps?
I think that they're going to make room. They got to make room for Ridley. I'm probably think that some of these guys are going to have to be released. I don't know if they can work anything under the cap, but it for them, the guys that do this cap stuff, it's really important. You know, I mean, you got Agnew still going to be around. I like to see Agnew play. He brings excitement to the game. As a receiver, and he's a guy that's got to stay on the team, I think. But the other guys, maybe Zay Jones stays, Marvin Jones goes. Kirk can't go anywhere; he's too good. And Ingram will be there, and they're going to have to play some checkers, Chinese checkers here, and see if they can come up with a right combination. I want to see some really serious with Ridley and his speed and his elusiveness. These other guys too, and Trevor Lawrence is going to love to throw to Ridley.
Yeah, I mean the Calvin Ridley situation. I mean Calvin Ridley healthy, arguably could work his way into being a top 10, if not top 5, wide receiver in the country. We've seen success of Marvin Jones Jr., Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and tight end Evan Engram with the Jaguars. Do you like Calvin Ridley coming onto this team? I mean, to you, is that going to make them better? Do you not want them to mess with the chemistry? What are your thoughts?
Well, I like any player that comes from Alabama because they're fundamentally sound and ready to go. And to watch these kids, Waddle and Ridley, and some of these really fleet kids on the outside, they were just too much for the rest of the college game. And Ridley is right in that mode. I hope he doesn't lose a step. I'd like to see. I'd like to see him probably in this, not as a wideout, but maybe as a split guy. I want to see him go north and west. I think that maybe Kirk can do the stuff in the middle. Ingram can do the stuff in the middle. They need a home run ball, and I think Ridley is going to be the home run ball.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it works out for the Jacksonville Jaguars, people forget that. They forget that Jacksonville's in a place right now to become, not only are they a playoff team, but you bring in Calvin Ridley, again, one of the top wide receivers, young wide receivers. He doesn't have a lot of wear on his tires, number one. Number two, we know that he's talented. Number three, he was on an Atlanta team where, there weren't really other weapons for him to help him out when Julio Jones left the team. So now, on a team that has weapons, on a playoff caliber team, what can he become? What can he look like on a team like this is the question that we're addressing when it comes to Calvin Ridley. Is how dangerous can he be? Where is he as far as being in shape and ready to go for the season, number one? And number two, when he comes onto this team, being a part of this Jaguars team, what is that going to look like as opposed to what he had in Atlanta? And how bought in is he? How locked in is he? How focused is he on this upcoming season and getting back onto the field? And then number two, what does this do for the Jaguars' chemistry? Yes, he's a home run hitter. Yes, he's an incredible wide receiver that has great upside that, like I said, hasn't had too many years in the NFL to put wear on the tires. But at the same time, is it going to mesh? Is it going to work? Is it going to make sense? And that's the hope that, the answer is yes to the hopeful Jaguars fans and to Duval that this does make sense and it does all work out. Because if it does, Jacksonville just hit a home run after going to the playoffs, which is pretty incredible. Speaking here with Papa Joe on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. PJ, biggest disappointment of the Jaguars season, do you have one?
Disappointment. I hate to be critical. Disappointment. Let me see. They lost 4 or 5 in a row. I really started feeling down a little bit, and I didn't see any spark on the team. And the more I read about it, and the more I listened to Patterson, and the more listen to the coaches when they were doing their coaching and stuff. I thought maybe that they could turn it around. I just didn't think that it would be. I think, the first year under Pedersen, we didn't know what we knew he was a Hall of Fame. I mean, we knew he was a Super Bowl coach. I mean, there's no question about his credentials. I just didn't know how this was going to turn to the kids. And after this, no, man, I don't think I'm going to like this. And I didn't harp on it. I didn't think about it. I just kept going with it and kept looking and kept watching and reading and things. And eventually they turned it around, and it could have tossed it away. I mean, it could have the season end, but I think Pedersen is a really big personality about him. And he's not really a shouter or a ranter or anything like that. He's just a quiet leader. He's like Andy Reid. That's what he is. He's a smaller Andy Reid. And now you know why he's such a good coach. And I'm sure that Andy Reid gave him a whole bunch of kudos too. So that's the only point. That's the only point I could see in the season was that little spell in there where they lost 5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, I would say I'm not disappointed at all. I don't. I said going into the season, 7-10 would have shown me that this team was going in the right direction. They gave me 10-9 and 2 playoff games included within that. So they won the AFC South. They beat Tennessee not once but twice. It's hard for them to even beat them once per season. Tennessee came in with, the almost more than 10 games better overall in their history with Jacksonville as far as wins to losses. So, I mean, Tennessee, tough team to beat. They beat them twice. They beat them in Tennessee. They won the division. They got a home playoff game. They had an incredible comeback against the Ravens, an incredible comeback in overtime against the Cowboys, an incredible comeback against the Titans, an incredible comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs, the third largest margin of a comeback ever in the history of the NFL playoffs, being down 27-0 for them to secure that. And so, for everything they've done this year, it was tough to see them lose in the middle of the season, but honestly, I have no complaints. I have nothing to sit here and say I'm upset about, I'm disappointed in. I think this team had a valiant effort, worked their tails off, had a tremendous season, outdid what pretty much everybody thought they were going to do, and shut up all the people that always ask me why I'm a Jaguars fan. So I can appreciate that tremendously. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. PJ, you can't see this, but I'm unveiling this for the first time in the studio because the studio is going to have some changes going on here in the not-too-distant future. For those of you that watch and listen to the show every single week, you're going to see some changes here in the Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora studios. One of them being that this will be on the wall, what I'm unveiling right now. It is a teal Jaguars towel that says teal with it. And so this is going to be going up on the wall, folks. So for those of you watching and listening live, there is a perk, always perks, to being the first to it and being on the live feed. The teal with it
I like that.
towel that we have here, that's going to be going up.
There's stuff in the garage right now that's hanging there too. I got 3 or 4 things from the Jaguars just hanging all over the garage. So you got to support them. And believe me, you and I know that we've gone through some tough times with them. And every year we start out with the shows and we say, oh, we'd like to see them do this and this, and maybe they'll be a 500 team. And all of a sudden we get our ass handed to us again and again and again and again. And so I think we deserve some kudos too, just sticking with them, and forgetting about all those losing seasons in a row. Now Pedersen now has to keep it together. He's got to keep his defense together, which is paramount. He's going to keep the young kids together on offense and be competitive every year. There's no reason why Trevor Lawrence, if he has a team, can be in the same conversation with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, those kids, Justin Heber, all of these guys, physicality and his smarts will allow him to go up to that level and at least carry his team that way. And that's what Pedersen's got to have. He's got to have this kid be a leader. I think he's ready for it now. I mean, I know he's only 23, but after 2 years in the league, in the first year getting the hell kicked out of you, I think he's ready for the leadership role and to take it over. And one of the things that he said in one of his interviews was, "We'll be back."
Yeah, and that's a famous line from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and also something that I believe in with the Jaguars, to not make it like 2017, 2018, where it felt more like a fluke to people on the outside looking in because the Jaguars did it and then disappeared once again. And speaking of disappearing, the Jaguars logo here, appearing here in the studio on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. As we continue the conversation on the Jaguars, PJ, this is the free agent list that the Jaguars have currently. Evan Engram at tight end, Marvin Jones Jr. at wide receiver, defensive end Dewan Smoot, who they got as a rookie out of Illinois, defensive end linebacker Arden Key, tight end Chris Manhertz, tight end Dan Arnold, who they both got through moves within the league, quarterback CJ Beathard, who backs up Trevor Lawrence, safety Andrew Wingard, as some know him affectionately as Dewey, right tackle Jawan Taylor, go Gators, cornerback Trey Herndon, defensive tackle Corey Peters, defensive lineman Adam Gotsis, running back who they just brought in the middle part of this season after trading away James Robinson, they brought in from San Francisco JaMychal Hasty, tackle Blake Hance, kicker Riley Patterson, and tackle Brandon Murphy. Of that list I just gave you, who do you think they need to re-sign immediately?
Oh, jeez. Well, I think that what's the first one you named? The first two were of interest to me. Which ones were they?
So I'll tell you the ones that I've circled and get your thoughts on it. Evan Engram, Marvin Jones Jr., Arden Key.
I'm going to go.
Those guys.
I'm going to say yes or no as you go down.
Okay, so Evan Engram.
Evan Engram, yes.
Okay.
Marvin Jones, no.
Why not Marvin Jones?
Because he's going to be replaced by Ridley.
Okay. See, my tough thing with Marvin Jones, very faithful guy, built a good relationship with him. Personally, I'm not going to be happy about it. I will say it depends on what type of money Marvin Jones is asking for, but he's been a difference maker, and he's seen this locker room change, and he to me would be a loss that would be more than just receptions if he left. So I can see happening. What you think is that he'll be let go. My hope is that they'll figure out a way. I agree with you on Evan Engram.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, with the emergence of Kirk to be Lawrence's number one guy, that sort of pushed Marvin back a little bit. Notwithstanding that he had a good year, I mean, and he caught a lot of good passes. But I do think that they're going to go young, and I think going young means Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be tough in the situation with Marvin Jones here. Next one up, defensive lineman Dewan Smoot.
I think he's all done.
Yeah, I think they'll probably let him go. Defensive lineman / linebacker Arden Key.
He's marginal.
See, to me, I think Arden Key has been big energy here. Do I think that, do I hope he gives more coming up this season? Yes. But I think Arden Key is one of those guys that brings the swagger to this team in a good way. So I feel like you should find a way to keep Arden Key. Next one up, tight end Chris Manhertz.
No. I look for, when he came from Carolina, I thought he was going to be a real stud. And he has not played up to that level. Maybe he's got another gear in him. I'm not sure, but if you don't have another gear and you're playing with Trevor Lawrence, good luck finding it around the league somewhere. So I think they'll release him.
Yeah, I don't think they'll keep Manhertz. Tight end Dan Arnold.
You know, he's a flip-flop guy too. I like Arnold for the last couple of years. I think he's a good player. He's not a terrific player, but for his size and what he does for a tight end, I think he does a good job. I think they would be positive if they kept him.
I would like them to keep him, but it depends on the money he's asking for. Next one up, quarterback. I mean, they got to have a backup somewhere. Quarterback C.J. Beathard.
Yes, they got to keep him.
Okay. I would agree that you keep somebody on your team that's been working with Trevor Lawrence throughout the whole year. I do agree with that. Next one up, safety, Andrew Wingard, a.k.a. Dewey.
Andrew Wingard?
Yeah.
Boy, he's been a great player. Not a great player, but he's a busy guy. He's everywhere. And I like the way he plays. I'm not sure he's going to fit under the plans, but I like the way he plays. He's a fiery guy, and you know, he's not the quickest of guys, he's not the fastest of guys, but he gets the tackles. You know, he's a dynamite guy. I'd like to see him keep him.
I think Wingard's got to stay. Dewey has been one heck of a player, and definitely stepped up in a big way, made some awesome moves. Again, like Arden Key, another one of those emotional charges for you. Your guy, go Gators, right tackle that they drafted, Jawan Taylor.
I'm not sure he's going to be around, Daniel. You know, he's been here 5 years. So is Cam Robinson. They both came together, I think, 1 year difference. But with Grady Little taking over one of the spots, and Sheriff can go back and forth, I don't think they're going to keep Jawan. I hate to say that because I'm a Gator, but I don't think they're going to keep Jawan.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Jawan, you know, unfortunately through this rookie contract, did enough to get the type of deal that you may expect at this point. So I don't see him staying. Cornerback, who filled in fantastically when Jalen Ramsey got traded, but has since been a guy in rotation, Trey Herndon.
Well, I'd like to see him stay too. He's another Gator. You know, it was nice to see him evolve, but he didn't keep it up. But I still like to keep him. I think he's valuable.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Trey Herndon, I interviewed him earlier on in the season. I think Trey is extremely valuable to this team. And even though he may not be your starter, I think he's a guy that you can't take away from this, especially with young guys in the secondary to teach. Humble guy, works really hard, and you know he plays his role. So hard to find guys like that. I would keep them. Some of these guys really don't get playing time, so I'll mention 3 more. Adam Gotsis, who fills in on the defensive line for this team, has found his way into rotation and has found himself as a D end on this team. Your thoughts on Adam Gotsis?
Yeah, I think he's good. He's done a good job. He's been very useful. He can do a lot of things, and I think he probably come cheap too. I think you should keep him.
Yeah, I would keep Gotsis as well. You need that rotation, and you know, especially with injury, you want to make sure you keep that with this team. Next up, JaMycal Hasty.
Well, he surprised me. He's got a lot of quickness, and he spelled ETN when he needed it. And you need a good backup. We need to keep this kid.
Yeah, you know, and I know you don't know this because I know you don't listen to rap music, but there's a song by Ludacris where he says things can get a little hasty, and every time I think about JaMycal Hasty, I picture that because getting a little hasty is a good thing on this team as he brings another element to the offense. Last but not least, friend of mine, big believer in God, reason why they made it to the divisional round, at the end. Consummate professional. Bounced around the league a little bit early on in his career right now. And he did something that so few guys do, which is get called in to be the place kicker and at the end of the season be on the same team that called you in at the beginning of the season. Does the team keep my dude, Riley Patterson?
Oh, yeah, he's got to stay. He's a very valuable, good leg. You don't return many kicks of him. He's a good, solid addition.
I agree. So, Riley Patterson. I also think he's not in the free agency right now, but I just want to make mention because special teams doesn't get enough love. One of the best punters in the country, Logan Cook from the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. So, a lot of good stuff here. You and I agree on most things here in free agency with the Jacksonville Jaguars. More coming up about the Jaguars, the NFL. Aaron Rodgers and his continued drama. I would think he's got a better chance of being on Days of Our Lives than on the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers, more about the Jaguars, and we'll get into the Baseball Hall of Fame and more with PJ, Papa Joe, right after this, inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub. Papa Joe a day early this week, typically with us on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Here with us a day early. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. Papa Joe and I will be back momentarily to answer your questions and continue the conversations about the NFL, as well as squeak in a little bit about the baseball world right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and appreciate you, as always, for being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So we thank you for being here with us on the show, and of course, a day early here, PJ usually with us, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', typically with us in the Thursday slot starting at 9 a.m. and he's with us a day early this time around for this week, the final full week of January in 2023. Believe it or not, in the new year, we're almost done with the first month of the new year. So happy to have you here with us talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars as well as the NFL playoffs as a whole, and get some thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and a little bit of the Baseball Hall of Fame here where sports meets life in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, probably presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, NFL Playoffs 2022-23 edition. Papa Joe here with me hanging out, and PJ to continue the conversation here on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said, and I know you've seconded this with me, and we put up a poll, and he was winning this poll as well. So I want to give him credit where credit is due. I put up a fan poll here on Twitter, and for those of you that aren't on Twitter, I suggest you get over there and join me at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Go there to Twitter and join me at CallDT. Click follow,
at CALLDT. We put up polls all the time. Love to get your thoughts on them and love to have you vote in those polls. And I asked who people would put out as the coach of the year. Doug Peterson was given the coach of the year. 2022 AFC coach of the year goes to Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson. Coach of the year by 101 Awards gave it to him. Your thoughts on him being the AFC coach of the year?
It was a no-brainer. As the season progressed, and he righted the ship after losing the 4 or 5 in a row, and saw the intensity of the way the team played, and the way Lawrence was responding to Patterson, you knew that something was in the mix. All they needed to do was just win, and they did. Of course, beating Tennessee to get the division, I think that cemented it for them. And then the win over the Chargers, that was icing on the cake. And just barely losing to the Chiefs, I guess you could say that's icing on the cake too. But I'm very pleased. I think that Shad Khan made a wise move, and he's gonna win with this guy for sure.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, definitely deserving of Coach of the Year, of the Coach of the Year award. Very happy that he got it, and definitely appreciate, respect all the work that he's done with the Jacksonville Jaguars in just one single season, and let's see where they go from here. So very happy. I mean, it's funny how things work out, PJ, right? Is you go from a coach who's dancing with someone who's not his wife to a coach who's dancing in the playoffs. So
I like it. I have another poll for you. If you want to have another poll.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who would you start a new franchise with? Would you use Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Put that out there.
I like that. I will put that out there. So we're going to put that out there this morning. I did want to get our final tallies from the other polls, so I will bring those up here for us, but PJ's got a good poll here, good point. So we're going to put that up. Who would you rather start a franchise with, Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? I'll be putting that up this morning on Twitter. You could vote in the poll. In just a couple minutes here, you'll be able to start voting. Twitter at CallDT, that's CALLDT, so give us your thoughts on that. PJ, let's shift over to the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. I've seen guys do senior walks, which in college football, the senior walk is when somebody's finishing up their time at a school in college and they take that final walk around the field, around the arena, the stadium, to bid adieu to wherever they're at. It looked like this was what Aaron Rodgers was doing at Lambeau Field. Granted, he's not a senior, and this is not college, but it looked like he was taking a really long time before he left the field, like he was just appreciating it or looking at it one more time. What are your thoughts? And this is going to be another poll that I'm putting up here this morning. What is your thought on Aaron Rodgers remaining a Green Bay Packer?
Well, I saw that too on television, and of him walking the field, and I also had a brother-in-law and 2 nephews up there at the game. They were having a riot. They were right in the Packers end zone, as a matter of fact, in the second row up. They were having a hoot, and you know, I've said this more than once on the show over the years that he's a diva. You know, he's everything revolves around Aaron Rodgers, and at least the Milwaukee people or the Wisconsin people, they don't get real frustrated with him because he wins. Mm-hmm. And maybe not this year, last year, but you know, he's a 3-time league MVP. Now you've got to give the guy credit. When he plays, he plays. He plays tough. He plays hard. And I just wish he wasn't such a damn diva. I mean, everything's a spectacle with this guy. Every time he says something, everyone's got to relate to it, and you got to answer it, and you got to argue with it and debate it. I don't want to do that. I mean, I don't want to keep listening about whether he's going to go or he's going to stay. Damn it, Aaron! If you're going to leave, leave, for crying out loud. I'm not gonna stop you. But he brings up some good points. He always does. He's a learned man. He's well educated. He just this morning said that he would help the Packers with the salary cap. If they need to take a hit, instead of giving him his $51 million a year. Are you kidding me? So he at least he'll play ball. And if he thinks, this is what he said, if he thinks that the team wants to go in another direction, that's okay with him too. I don't believe that, but I think that for an MVP and a future Hall of Famer, I think he needs to stay with the team, retire with the team, and quit being so damn dramatic. I know, wow. It drives me crazy. Every time he says something, it's a long soliloquy about something. So, I've ranted about that. That's enough. But that's what he said. He would like to work with the team to see if they can rework the contract to help some other guys. Fine. I don't think that they're happy with the kid that's going to take his place either. But I imagine that they'll try to talk him into playing at least one more year, and we'll go from there. That's the way I feel about it, Dan.
Yeah, it's just I agree. Like you said, either stay or go. There's a song about it. Will I stay or will I go? It's figure out what you're gonna do. Stay or go. Stop being, and what is he saying after he gets $50 million annually on average for a year? What does he say? Oh, I'll rework the contract out. Yeah, because you can't get anybody. Because you're half the dang team. Because Devontae Adams left 3 days after you signed your contract because they couldn't afford him. It's like, Aaron, maybe this is Green Bay's ploy to get you to realize the error of your ways. Yeah, we'll give you $50 million a year, and then you'll see what it looks like, and you won't go anywhere. Now that you haven't made the playoffs, Aaron, do you want to restructure your contract so we can go bring in some more players, or do you want to play by yourself? Maybe that was Green Bay's plan the whole time, and if it was, good for them. But in this situation, I'm just over it, okay? I've been an Aaron Rodgers fan for a really long time. The last 2 years, with all the drama and all the ridiculousness, and what's he going to do, and how does he feel, and blah, 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 and calling out people in public. I've never been a person to personally attack, definitely not in public. And not in private should you personally attack anybody either. If I have a problem with someone, I'm not going to a podium and saying I have a problem with someone. If I have a problem with someone, now I'm going to talk to that person. I'm going to try to address them first. And I'm going to have that conversation. So maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know the inner workings of it. But calling out his teammates is not the type of professionalism I'm looking for. The dramatic last 2 years is not the type of professionalism I'm looking for. The taking $50 million and holding your team hostage is not the type of leadership because it's not a leader. So to me, at the end of the day, I think Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay need to figure it out. And I'm just done, like you said, I'm done hearing about it. I'm done wanting to hear about it. He should have learned. Brett Favre made him wait, 3-4 years because he couldn't make up his dang mind? And now here you are acting like Brett Favre. Can't make up your mind, don't know what you want to do. You put your pants on, take your pants off, put your pants on, take your pants off, put your pants on. I don't want to hear it anymore. Either put your pants on and go to work or take your pants off and sit on the couch. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but at the end of the day, Aaron, you need to figure it out. You should have known that taking $50 million was going to cripple your team, but now you've seen reality. So if you want to get a top flight receiver, you're going to have to give up some of that money. But the question is, does Green Bay keep wanting to go down this road? So, PJ, I'm going to ask you this. Feet to the fire. Do you think, as I said before, if you had to answer it today, Aaron Rodgers, is he a Packer or is he somewhere else?
I think he goes somewhere else. I think he wants to play. I don't know if he wants to play for the Packers. The coverage is not really too full with the Packers right now. Losing Devontae Adams last year was just absolutely slayed him. Of all the things that bothered Aaron Rodgers over the years, that's one that slayed him. And he couldn't deal with it. And Reese kept waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the next year. And he's going to do the same thing this year. This is going to drag on till March or April or maybe even May. He's not going to make any decisions. And he doesn't have a honey now to make a decision with. He keeps moving around with honeys, too. I don't know. I think he needs. I just think he wants to play. I don't think he wants to play with the Packers anymore. He doesn't say that, but maybe he's intending to say that. He doesn't say that. I don't know. Trying to figure this guy out is not easy. I mean, he's a very complex person. And that goes back to his family. He's had run-ins with his family for years. This family's not on speaking terms. I mean, he is a very, very, very unusual person to deal with. And this is part of it right here. And he's going to hold the Packers hostage. I know that. Like you said, he probably will. Maybe I'll retract that. If he stays, he'll probably play with the Packers. I don't think he'll play anywhere else. I don't think he needs to go anywhere. He doesn't. What does he need to prove? He's like Brady. These guys don't need to prove anything. I mean, you're playing on creaky legs, bad knees. You got bumps all over you. You're hurting like hell. I mean, why do you want to keep playing at this level? You can't play at this level and stay safe and stay healthy. Brady boggles my mind also too. I mean, these guys can't be that money hungry. I mean, I'm sure they got tens of millions stashed somewhere where they can live comfortably for the rest of their lives and their families comfortably for the rest of their life. And these guys don't need to play. Aaron, you don't need to play anymore. I'll just say it. You don't need to play anymore.
That coming from Papa Joe. Aaron Rodgers, we'll see. I just put the poll up on Twitter. Go and vote at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Click follow and vote in our poll. Feet to the fire. Aaron Rodgers, where does he end up next year? Still in Green Bay or somewhere else? Vote in that. Another poll going up momentarily. And just so you all know, I promised I would give you numbers on our poll, and I am a man of my word. So I said, who is your NFL Coach of the Year? And 15.8% of you said Dan Campbell of the Lions. 26.3% of you said Brian Daboll of the Giants. And more than half of you ended up being correct when it came to AFC Coach of the Year for sure. But who you think your Coach of the Year is in the NFL, over half of you said overall, of all the coaches, Doug Peterson. Jacksonville Jaguars, 57.9%. The majority of you around the world voted for Doug Peterson. So, with that being said, Papa Joe, we shift gears to the NFL playoffs here for a moment before we jump into the Hall of Fame for Cooperstown. Bengals at Chiefs, Niners at Eagles. Your thoughts on the upcoming matchups that we have? We'll start with the Bengals at the Chiefs.
Boy, what a barn burner this is going to be. I love it. Did you see him play in the snow the other day? It was just so much fun watching these kids play in the snow.
Yeah.
They're just like a bunch of 10-year-olds out there splashing around in the snow. I don't know what the weather's going to be like in Kansas City, but boy, Joe Burrow against Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has got a little tanker sword that he's got to get rid of, and that's Joe Burrow. He can't beat him. He hasn't beat him yet. And, it all goes, I think it goes to, you're not going to stop these quarterbacks. Neither defense is going to stop the quarterback. But I tell you what Kansas City has to do is they have to slow down Joe Burrow. He's too comfortable back there. I know he gets sacked a lot, but he's got Jamar Chase out there. He's got what's his name there? The Debo guy. He flies. No, that's the other team. That's San Francisco. Anyway, it'll be fun to watch. And I think that Kansas City's defense is probably going to rise to the occasion and probably not shut Joe Burrow down, but slow him down a little bit and see if they can score some points on their own. Cincinnati's defense really impressed me against the Bills. Josh Allen got the heck kicked out of him. He got slammed which way upside down and all around the place. And it's going to take that kind of an effort against Patrick Mahomes. Now, Patrick Mahomes, we know, is hurt. I mean, he's got a high ankle sprain, and however you want to interpret that, I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll shoot him up and they'll wrap him up and they'll say, go on out there, Patrick, and play. And that's what he'll do because that's the kind of player he is. So I think that if Kansas City can stop Joe Burrow, at least slow him down, and win with a not 100%, Patrick Mahomes, that's probably what we're going to see. We're probably going to see more running, which I don't want to see because I want to see the quarterback throw the ball. I don't think we're going to see Mahomes bounce all over the place and do his sidearms and underhands and all these other kind of things. I think it's going to be real quiet for him back there, and I don't think Andy Reid's going to jeopardize him because he knows that he's got a Super Bowl quarterback. So I think that Cincinnati has to play better than they did last weekend in order to stay in the same ballpark with Kansas City.
Yeah. So we shall see. I mean, Kansas City and Cincinnati not known for their defense, but they have displayed that their defense can show up and can create opportunities for them. So, I think it's going to be a really good game. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to, see these two teams. If you put most people's feet to the fire at the beginning of this season and said who's going to make it of the teams that made the Super Bowl, the Bengals or the Rams, I think like 80% of people probably would have picked the Rams. So I don't see a lot of people would have picked the Bengals. Now they're one step away, which is huge for them. Says a lot about Joe Burrow. Says a lot about the Bengals organization, their coaching, everybody. So shout out to Cincinnati. I think Kansas City is beatable. I think the Jaguars did a heck of a job. I go back to that Jacksonville game. They dropped a fumble, they dropped an interception. They didn't get to a fumble quick enough, and then they threw an interception, and they fumbled at the 9-yard line. So look at that. Look at that. If that had reversed, they commit a fumble, commit an interception, but they had an opportunity for a fumble and an interception. If you take those two possessions from Kansas City instead of giving them to Kansas City, arguably we could see Jacksonville moving on, or Jacksonville at least tying the game, go to overtime. How close do you feel that Jacksonville game really was against Kansas City?
I thought it was close. I mean, it was enjoyable to watch, and I knew the kids were overmatched, but still they were playing well, and the fumble by Agnew just killed them. And then Lawrence thrown that interception. So it was in the fourth quarter, and as I told you earlier, I told Mary and Joe that if they were close in the fourth quarter, they got a shot to win, and they had a chance to win. But not to get a good team like that. I mean, Kansas City is all powerful, and Kansas City is going to have their most valuable player this year, probably, hands down, with Patrick Mahomes. I know we'll get to talk about Jalen Hurts and his crew a little bit later. Jalen Hurts certainly deserves consideration as most valuable player, but not when you got someone like Mahomes. I mean, Jalen Hurts probably will be an MVP probably sooner than later. He's an exceptional player, a great role model, wonderful kid, and he just needs to play a little bit better this year than Patrick. But I think it may even be closer than that. I'm not sure, but I'm just leaning toward Patrick being the MVP. And when you got a player like that in your backfield, you got Andy Reid, who's a Hall of Fame coach, and you're going to come up with all sorts of weird diagrams and things to win. And I think that's probably what's going to keep Kansas City above.
Yeah, I mean, we shall see. Cincinnati at Kansas City, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes, a lot of talent, a lot of hungry guys. Kansas City trying to get back to the Super Bowl. Cincinnati trying to do what so few teams have done historically in all the NFL, which is to make it in back-to-back seasons. We shall see. Two teams in the AFC Championship vying for the rights to go to the Super Bowl after both of those teams have been there in recent history. So that's showing the strength of Cincinnati and the strength of Kansas City to get through the murky waters to where they are right now. We'll talk about the NFC side of things in just a moment. We'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And when we come back, we'll get into San Francisco at Philadelphia, as well as how both teams got to this NFC Championship game right after this. And we'll talk with Papa Joe if he thinks the final play by the Dallas Cowboys was the worst, if not one of the worst, last plays of a game ever in the history of the NFL. We'll talk about it right after this.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsicuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out a day early with Papa Joe, where sports meets that thing called life, and getting into the NFL playoffs. Speaking on the AFC side of things, now to jump to the NFC inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. PJ, your thoughts on San Francisco at Philadelphia. We'll start with San Francisco's game against the Dallas Cowboys and what I consider to be arguably the worst NFL playoffs final play
that I've ever seen in my entire life of a team that knows it's win or go home to have a formation where your linemen are not protecting your quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, who I've never known to block anybody in my life, is the guy that's hiking you the ball, and you decide to throw a 4-yard pass in the wide open field with nobody blocking and 2 guys running at you, throwing a pass 4 yards straight to the middle of the field where the most congestion is when you need a 70-yard touchdown. The play made no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It'll never make any sense to me. I don't get it. It was the last play the Dallas Cowboys saw. I said earlier in this week that I think that maybe somebody on the Cowboys staff had it out for Ezekiel Elliott and just wanted him to get blown up on the last time he'll ever be a Cowboy. But I know he's signed until 2027, but I could see them trying to move him to another team. Your thoughts on the Cowboys' final play in a game where, once again, they struggled to score offensively. They ended the season the way they started the season, as an enigma. Nobody knows who they are today, like nobody knew who they were yesterday. Sometimes they score, sometimes they don't. The final play that ended it all for the Cowboys, I would have rather them hike the ball and throw it straight up into the air. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, it took most football aficionados by surprise, simply because the lineup was a surprise.
Yeah.
And then when you saw the play made no sense. Mike McCarthy came from the Packers, and he's one of these cerebral coaches. And I'll guarantee you that's a McCarthyism. I don't think Kellen Moore did that. But, there's all sorts of dipsy-doodle plays, as the boomer used to say, in college and pros. You hand the ball off to your running back. He turns around, throws it back to the quarterback, and then throws it down the field. That's a dipsy-doodle play. But this thing didn't even qualify for a dipsy-doodle. Because I didn't understand what it was supposed to do. I'm looking at both sides over there, and I see the offensive lineman. I said, well, maybe they're going to try to get the receiver to the middle of the field to go over behind the offensive line and run down the field and score a touchdown. Well, that obviously didn't happen. It was Dallas forever will be Jimmy Johnson's team. And they can't seem to duplicate what Jimmy Johnson did years ago.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys, I know they're your team, Daniel, but they're a major disappointment every single year. They disappoint. I don't know if Jerry Jones was interfering at all this year. At least we didn't hear about it. If he did, he's got a good coach, and maybe he's leaving him alone. I think that I'm not sure Jack Preston is the quarterback for this team. Looking at Elliott, I don't think he's going to play. Pollard is going to be the bat. I mean, even though he got hurt, he had surgery, but he's going to be the bat next year, not Elliott. If they want to keep 2 of them, fine. But Ezekiel costs a lot of money. They're going to try to trade him or dump him somehow. But Jack Prescott, don't know. He seems to lay an egg when the time comes when he's got to shine. So it was an unfortunate ending to the game. It was embarrassing for the Cowboys. That's about all you can say.
Yeah, it was an awful ending. It made no sense. I don't get it. It's like watching a movie. You know what? It's kind of like the end of Game of Thrones. It was a really good story until it wasn't. So that's kind of how I feel about it at this point. Kind of sad to see the way that things ended for the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully, there'll be better decision-making in the future. Or somebody could maybe tap somebody on the sideline and remind them that they're in the playoffs and it's not the preseason. Maybe somebody could do that. So, moving forward here, PJ, Philadelphia blows out the Giants. The last regular season game that both of these teams play, it's Giants-Eagles, and the Giants almost beat the Eagles with their B team, losing 22-16. How does the B team lose by 6 and the starters lose by 31?
You saw a real good Philadelphia team, that's for sure. I mean, this guy Sirianni is a heck of a coach. And Jalen Hurts, we know that he's a hell of a quarterback from Oklahoma days, and he's finally coming into his own. And he's, as I stated earlier, he's going to have consideration for the most valuable player for sure. but I think that Patrick Mahomes is to lose. Jalen Hurts has really proved that he can play the game at a high level. Now, he beat I don't know what happened to the Giants. The Giants just didn't show up in Dayball on this for all his hooping and hollering and jumping up and down and screaming and everything. But the Giants didn't prove to do anything. So the coach laid an egg too. So they weren't prepared to meet the physicality of Philadelphia. They couldn't hang with them. Every time they tried something, they got their ass kicked. So, it was a terrible game. I turned it off. I mean, it wasn't anything watching.
Yeah, no, it was. Again, another finish. Here's the thing that I find hilarious. Okay, the NFL gave the NFC the 2 primetime games, and the first one ended in a blowout, 31 point blowout. The second one ended with arguably the worst NFL playoffs last play ever. Yet the Jaguars game was really close and really cool and came down to the wire, and then we know what happened with the Cincinnati-Buffalo game. So arguably, of the 4 games that we got in the divisional round, the one that should have been primetime was Jacksonville, Kansas City. And I'm not saying that as a Jaguars fan. I'm saying that because you had a blowout, a terrible play, another pretty much blowout, and a close game that came down to 7 points. So of all the matchups that we saw, the one that was the closest was Jacksonville and Kansas City.
That's for sure, and they should be very proud of themselves. The Bengals and Bills, the Bills didn't look like they wanted to get together either and play. Josh Allen wasn't himself. Maybe he didn't like the snow. I don't know that. You get enough snow up in Buffalo for crying out loud to be able to practice in it. It was Joe Burrow is really cementing himself as being a notch below Mahomes, and these guys are. And Josh Allen, of course, he's a wonderful young quarterback, as is Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, and these guys are all the guys that lead your team to win are the ones that people follow. You're not going to find these kind of guys in the other teams. You're just not going to do it. Oh, Hebert from San Diego's got a real good shot of it. Zach Prescott, we don't know what year he's going to show up at. You got Lamar Jackson, who we don't know if he's going to come back again. If they do, he's not going to play for the Ravens. There's other quarterbacks that play at a really, really high level. And Daniel Jones didn't at this particular time, but Jalen Hurts did. So kudos to Jalen, and now we got a hell of a game coming up.
Let me talk to you about one of the most ridiculous potential things that could happen that I don't see happening, but I just want to throw it at you because I want to get your response to it. What if Lamar Jackson was the quarterback of the Packers?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. Well, the Packers have always been a quarterback-laden team. They've never really had that good of a running gap over the years. They've always relied on Aaron Rodgers to throw everything and win a game. That's how you win in Green Bay. I'm not sure if his style of football would go well there. Besides, it's too damn cold up there for Lamar. My goodness. That's an interesting thought. Lamar Jackson with the Packers. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
You put that one out there too, Daniel, for a vote.
Well, in the early voting, for those of you that can have gone out there or will go out there on Twitter, thank you for that. Go to Twitter at CallDT. We put up polls all throughout the year, sometimes multiple ones per week. Twitter at CallDT, that's CALLDT. There's 3 polls up right now for you to vote in. Feet to the fire, where do you think Aaron Rodgers will be next season? Early polling has him still in Green Bay, 54.5%. Somewhere else, 45.5%. So still, it's close, but 54.5% of you believe that he'll stay in Green Bay in the early polling. If you were to start an NFL franchise, which quarterback would you rather have for that franchise start? Joe Burrow or Josh Allen? This is Papa Joe's question, and this is a 50-50 ball right now.
Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are tied. And in the early polling of if you had to choose between these two quarterbacks, who would be your NFL MVP this season, 2022-23, Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes? The early polling was 100% Jalen Hurts, but we just got some recent polling for Pat Mahomes. It's 75-25 Jalen Hurts in very, very early polling right now, PJ.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, he deserves all the accolades he can get. I just don't think he's the MVP.
That coming here from Papa Joe this morning in our segment inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Here's a question that we got, PJ, from Greg. Our thoughts on the comeback player of the year. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, or Geno Smith?
Oh, that'd be hands down to Geno Smith. God, I remember him years ago being an awful, awful quarterback for the Jets and the Giants. I don't know what turned him around. As I stated a couple of weeks ago, I think that Pete Carroll, just as a hell of a coach, he doesn't get enough accolades for developing quarterbacks. Russell Wilson leaves his team and lays an egg at Denver. Geno comes over, reinvents his career. Geno Smith he needs to be congratulated. He's done a hell of a job. I think he wins this one, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is tough. Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to call him the comeback player of the year because he switched teams and went to a team that let him be who he is and let him be utilized. And so I think I'm not going to call it comeback player. I think this situation made it better. I think Saquon coming off of his injury definitely has a case for comeback player of the year, but it's got to go to Geno Smith, in my opinion. I'm going to agree with you. I mean, Geno Smith, to me, this is a guy who I think a lot of people could have easily said was going to be out of the NFL at this point, doing something else, and that's not what happened. So, I think that Geno has definitely made some people eat their words on him being an NFL quarterback, me included. And, and so I respect it. I'm the type of person where I love it. I'm happy he made me eat my words. Some people, some people can't admit when they're wrong. Some people try to pretend like they never said something. In my case, I'm happy for Geno Smith. Good for him. Good for the Seahawks. Good for, their future and what he can be. I thought that they were going to be in the sweepstakes to go out and get a quarterback in this year's 2023 NFL draft. And now looking at it, it's like, to me, they got their guy. Go out and find something else. Go do something else with that pick. I think he's been tremendous for this team. I think he's been really amazing, everything that he's done, and making them a playoff caliber team. I have no qualms at all by saying that to me, he's the comeback player of the year. He should have the vote hands down. I don't think you should even think about anybody else. So I'm going to give it to him as well, and that's where I'm going to sit at with this. San Francisco at Philly, PJ, what are your thoughts? San Francisco at Philadelphia, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think Philadelphia's defense is going to have to come up strong to stop the young Purdy kid. We've been reading for weeks about how Purdy is supposed to implode, and the Niners are going to lose, well, other than he still wins 6 or 7 games in a row, and he's still got the job. Not only this year, but he's going to get the job next year because Jimmy P is gone. Jimmy G will be gone probably. The Lance kid, forget about him. He's gone. I don't know. I like the 49ers in this game. I think that Purdy does a lot of good things. He uses his backs and wide receiver well. I don't know who's calling the plays for him. I think it's the coach is calling the plays, but Purdy is locked in, that's for sure. And Jalen Hurts is going to do his thing. He's going to throw the ball well. He's going to run the ball well. It's just, I don't know if the defense can stop them or not. I don't know if look at the 49ers have got their hands full with Jalen Hurts. That's on the defensive side of the ball. And on the other side of the ball, maybe not so much, because the best quarterback in this game is Jalen Hurts. But the best quarterback team could be the 49ers.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game between two powerhouse teams that are going to make life really difficult for whoever they see in the championship game. The polling continues, and it's getting closer between Jalen Hurts and Pat Mahomes. It's now 60-40 Hurts to Mahomes on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. All the polls are up. Go and vote in them. I just put up the comeback player of the year between Geno Smith, Christian McCaffrey, and Saquon Barkley. So you can vote in every single one of these polls throughout this week by going to Call DT on Twitter. That's at Call DT, CALLDT. Click follow, vote in the polls, have some fun with us. And before we go, fantasy value, as this is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. I shouldn't have to tell you, but I'll tell you. Cincinnati Bengals, for those of you playing daily fantasy, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, a little bit of Tyler Boyd Love I got in there, T. Higgins, and Samaje Perine. I got some for him, as well as Joe Mixon, obviously getting the dominant there. For Kansas City, Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce are your top guys, and then you take a little bit in a game like this. One of the receivers is going to shape up. It's hard to really choose which one that's going to be, as Kansas City, without Tyreek Hill, kind of goes to a little bit of everybody. But I think that looking at Travis Kelce, obviously, and Pat Mahomes are your two big players in daily fantasy. And then in the running back room, Jerick McKinnon. For San Francisco, Brock Purdy, how can you go against his numbers in fantasy value? You got to look to somebody like him, George Kittle. George Kittle looks more like himself with Purdy out there. So I like that. And I would also say Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk have some value as well. For Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, all guys with value. And you got to look at Devontae Smith as well as A.J. Brown. A lot of great value here. Comeback Player of the Year, we just put it up, and y'all have already started voting. Thank you. Geno Smith and Christian McCaffrey have split the votes 50-50. Nobody has voted for Saquon Barkley. So we'll see how these go as they come in. PJ, our final word here is going to be... Yeah, and Greg's saying Geno's not a comeback player because what did he come back from? Well, I guess it's him being... Look, you look at it from this, okay? Saquon came back, Christian McCaffrey... So what Greg is saying is they were players that were at the top of the heap, and then they came back. Well, I guess you could say Geno Smith was a starting quarterback for the Jets. He was supposed to be the dominant guy, and now he's resurged himself into being a starter again. So you can say from starting quarterback to backup to people forgot he was in the NFL to now being a starting quarterback going to the playoffs. So I understand the argument of Greg saying if he wasn't a playoff quarterback, how can he be a comeback player of the year? But then from the other angle of it, this is a guy who very easily could have been out of the NFL, and he's come back into the spotlight, so to speak. So I do understand both sides of it. PJ, we did get asked about the Hall of Fame, so I do want to address the Hall of Fame really quick. I know it's not in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, but we're going to throw it in here either way. Your thoughts on who got voted in to the Hall of Fame, and just to get a quick take from you here, I want to get the actual question that came through, because we had a full question that came through and a note, and I want to make sure we don't miss it here. So the question that came through was to us, and we just lost PJ here for a second, so we're going to bring PJ back. So let me get PJ back on here. Let's see. So we're going to bring PJ back onto the broadcast, and our apologies for this if you just hold momentarily. So we lost PJ for a second, but we'll get PJ back on the line here. There we go. We got you back in. That was my mistake. So of the people that got voted in for the Hall of Fame, just what your thoughts are on them. And Greg, if you can send the second half to that question, because for some reason it has disappeared from our feed, you can send it over to us. But yeah, PJ, what do you think about the Baseball Hall of Fame for this year?
I think that Scott Rowland was an excellent choice. I've always been a fan of his. Excellent third baseman, Golden Glove third baseman, played for 3 teams. He could go the Hall of Fame probably is kind of nobody this way. Sounds like excellent player. A little bit disappointed that Todd Helton missed out on just a couple of percentage points. I think that he's one of the players that probably should be brought in later on. I mean, even though he played for the ballpark out there in Colorado where everyone hits 500, he was an excellent first baseman. He was an excellent player, and he hit like hell. So congratulations to Scott Rowland, and maybe next time, Todd.
Okay, so the question was, will Billy Wagner and Carlos Beltran get in?
I'm not a fan of Beltran, but I am of Wagner because he moved around a lot. He was a wicked left-handed pitcher, and he had ERAs under 3 most of the time. Billy Wagner has got a good shot at it. Carlos probably not so, but these guys are all marginal players, and whoever can get the kick is going to get in, like Roland, and not so much for Elton. I like Wagner. I've always liked Wagner as a player.
Yeah, so PJ saying Wagner and Beltran you leave off. We're going to put that poll up as well. Greg said Billy was close. Beltran with strong first-year showing regarding votes. Will his connection with Houston hold him back? So I guess that's the question. Or what do you think, PJ? Do you think that Carlos Beltran's connection with Houston will prevent him from getting in?
Yes, but not down the line.
Okay.
People are going to forget about that. I've already forgot about the Astros. They were a bunch of idiots to do it to begin with. The general manager lost a job. The manager lost a job. Players got released. Whatever. Carlos Beltran was an excellent player for years, but I don't think that's going to hold him back. Not lately, but down the road.
And coming from PJ. PJ here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Papa Joe, as always, I appreciate you a day early and happy to have you here. So thank you for all of your thoughts on the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the NFL playoffs, and, of course, on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Papa Joe is with us on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Come with us a day early this week. We look forward to talking with PJ next week and every week. Papa Joe, as always, I send you all my love, my appreciation, and my gratitude. I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, hope you feel better.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. And coming from Papa Joe here, where sports meets that thing called life. And always happy to have Papa Joe here on the broadcast. We want to thank you all for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you, Greg, for that positivity here. We appreciate that as always. And so we have I'm putting up here right now, who would you vote into the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame among these names? So I'm putting up the names right now for Billy Wagner, Carlos Beltran, both and neither, because I want to get your thoughts. So who would you vote? If you had a vote, you heard what Papa Joe had to say. So who would you vote in? If you had a choice of who you were voting into the Cooperstown Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, who would you vote into the Baseball Hall of Fame? Would it be Carlos Beltran, Billy Wagner, both of them, or neither? Would love to get your thoughts on this, and make sure you're voting in our poll. It's on Twitter, and my name on Twitter, @CallDT, that's CALLDT, CALLDT on Twitter. Click follow. Would love to have you there with us. Make sure you vote in the poll, and I'm going to give you throughout the week to do this here. So make sure you vote in it. We're going to be tracking the poll as we go, so make sure you vote ASAP so we can get your thoughts out there. All of our polls are currently up right now. We put a ton of them up for this week, just in this show alone. So a look back before we hop out of here. Green Bay, as far as where we think Aaron Rodgers is going to be in next season, fans are saying 58.3% that he'll stay in Green Bay, 41.7% that he'll go somewhere else. If you were starting an NFL franchise, which quarterback would you rather have start your franchise, Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? It was 50-50. It is now 60-40 in favor of Josh Allen over Joe Burrow. If you had to choose between these two quarterbacks, who's your NFL MVP
For the 2022-23 season, Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes? 66.7% say Jalen Hurts. 33 and a third say Pat Mahomes. Who is your NFL comeback player of the year? 50% of you said Geno Smith, 25% Christian McCaffrey, 25% Saquon Barkley. And we just put the poll up. Who would you vote into the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame among these names? Billy Wagner, Carlos Beltran, both of them, or neither. And that poll is now officially open. So vote in it. And we appreciate everybody that has. So, with that being said, I want to thank my guests for today. And if my voice sounds anywhat differently, if you could say a prayer, throw a prayer my way, always throwing some your way as well. My allergies, my sinuses, throat, nose, head, everything. My ears have been bothering me on and off since August, and they've gotten pretty bad this week. So if you could say a prayer, I appreciate it. I want to thank the incredible guest I had this morning for the Dolphin Dive, Robin Wheeless, who we got to tell his story, learn about his journey and his teams as the men's and women's cross country and track and field head coach at Moyne College on the Heights. So thank you to Robin Wheeless, and thank you to Papa Joe for his thoughts on the Jacksonville Jaguars, the NFL playoffs, as well as the Baseball Hall of Fame inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub with some football and a little bit of baseball jumped in there. You can watch and listen to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. You can also be with us on Facebook.com / LiveNowDT and on the homepage of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, WakeUpCallDT.com. Make sure you bookmark and save that page because that is where everything Wake Up Call related goes. So make sure you go over to WakeUpCallDT.com today. We want to also let you know that once the shows go live, you can find us in our archives by going to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to all of our incredible partners that I spoke about earlier on in the show. A big thanks to Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, as well as PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, as well as Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Pizza Man 317 at Montgomery. And I want to stop here for a second on Mother's Cupboard because I forgot to say something before, and purely a mistake here. I want to give a proud thanks to Mother's Cupboard for all that they do. Their food is incredible. It's the only place I ever want to go for breakfast. I love everything that they bring to the table. Food is fantastic. Love Pete Green. Love the staff. Love being around everybody there. Honestly, cannot thank them enough for being a staple of Syracuse. They're synonymous with us. They are that place that could have existed 100 years ago and exists today. It's that town diner that you go in, they know your name, they know your seat, they know what you're about, they know what you like, they know what you eat. It's that place where people know your name, and things like that are so appreciated. By the way, their food is just like mouth-watering all the time. Mother's Cupboard is a place where, like, I want Mother's Cupboard to essentially, like, bring me my breakfast every morning to the studio. That's what I want. I want, like, a Mother's Cupboard breakfast segment where I can eat on the air because it's fun for me because their food is so good. With that being said, we are also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of this wonderful exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Moyne College Dolphins. Every first and third Wednesday of each month during Dolphin time, which is Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern time, I have the opportunity to join Athletics Director Bob Beretta for AD and DT, and we sit down with one another and speak on a bunch of different things happening on the Heights for the Moyne College Dolphins, including the exclusive series on realignment and reclassification that we have done with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, as well as President Dr. Linda Lemura. Every second and fourth Wednesday, including in this week, we have the opportunity to bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, as well as future Dolphins, alumni, and administration, all on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. You can check out the archive of all of our Dolphin content by going to the Moyne page on wakeupcalldt.com and subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on the Dolphins, go to lemoynedolphins.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, where we have the opportunity to bring you the stories of the Bobcats, student athletes, as well as coaches and administration. You can check out all of our Bobcat content by going to our BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, bookmarking it, saving it, keeping it forever. The BSC, which stands for Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Click on their official page on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and subscribe for Bobcat Buzz content. And we'll be buzzing around the Bobcats men's and women's basketball seasons, as well as the upcoming baseball season, giving you more content coming up very soon here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month with the Bobcats. Always appreciate being a part of their story, getting to tell their story, spotlight, and put a true light on the beauty of Central and Upstate New York and the difference that Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse makes. So happy to have them on the broadcast as always and appreciate them so very much. You can get more information by going to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of today's broadcast by listening, by watching, by partnering, and by being a guest. Thanks to Papa Joe and Robin Wheeless once again. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. Keep your candles lit bright, no matter what the weather is. You always want the house to smell nice, the office, the studio. Namaste at home, and so much more, including the one I put up on my story on Instagram at wakeupcall _DT, Mother Fudger, which smells like hot chocolate was just made in your kitchen. And wherever you put it, the Witty Wicks candles, like, it just goes everywhere. So you put it in a room, and you put it in your kitchen, and all of a sudden it's in your family room, it's going up the stairs. The strength of these candles, first of all, they smell great. Well, let me put it like this. They're made locally, from a local company, local people who care about the local community. A lot of local, okay? On top of that, they smell fantastic. On top of that, they're strong and they go all over the place. And they're always bringing awesome scents out to us for the season, different things that are new, things they bring back. There's always something to find at Witty Wicks. So go out to 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York today in front of Movie Tavern and let them know the Wake Up Call sent you. In the meantime,